Train your mind to see good in everything. Positivity is a choice. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. On that note, I, Dr. Nitish Srivastav, Associate Professor, IIEBM, welcome you all to yet another interesting session of IIEBM's induction program of 21st Batch Ignite 2020. The session will be of an hour, where first 40 minutes will be knowledge sharing and rest 20 minutes will be question and answer. You can type your questions in the chat box during the session, which will be addressed towards the end of the session. So let me welcome our today's guest for the session, Ms. Rimeli Dey Barman. She will talk on organizational branding and business development. Ms. Rimeli is alumnus of IIEBM and she has an experience in sales and marketing in sectors like market research, franchising, and real estate. Presently, she is located in Doha, Qatar, and is working since 1.5 years in the oil and gas sector in marketing at Applus Velosi. She did her graduation in psychology and has keen interest in graphology. During her PGDM, she was always inclined towards connecting with people and public speaking, and in due course of time, she started her own YouTube channel where she connects with people regularly. Post PGDM, she was working with Frank Corp Limited and then started working with Oyo Rooms, where she was recognized as an employee who got a Oyo townhouse after a period of just 2.5 years. So without taking much time, let us start the session, and like the IIEBM way, let knowledge prevail. Over to you, Ms. Rimeli. Ms. Rimeli, can you hear me?
Yes, I guess I'm audible as well.
Yes, you are audible.
Well, thank you so much for a lovely introduction, ma'am. So, good evening, everybody. Unfortunately, because of the current situation, we have to only connect on a webinar forum, and we have to fight back with the coronavirus thing that is going on, but we cannot give up. So we'll have to keep connecting with each other in this kind of forum only. Otherwise, you would have seen me in a big auditorium. With you. So today's topic and business development. I would like to take on with my presentation. So, okay, so let me just quickly introduce myself to you, which probably should be a very brief note. Let me just tell you who I am. My name is Rimeli, and I am your alumni. I was a student of IIEBM batch 2015-17. I got placed with B2B India from the college and eventually in my career and went on with different opportunities as and when you can see. I worked with organizations like Frank Corp, Oyo, and now I'm in Qatar working with Applus Velosi as a marketing assistant. So, not to keep you waiting, because I would like to divide the session, which has already been, I guess you guys have already been briefed out on. So 40 minutes of the session and 20 minutes of question and answers. So the best I deliver will be delivered to, which will come to me through your questions. So do not hesitate to ask me whatsoever you want to. I'm going to go through the presentation in a very short note, because of course I'm your alumni and I know the college. I have been to the college and the college has given me a lot. So I will speak about my experiences in the college and everything at the end of the presentation. So quickly just let me take you through my presentation and give you a little bit of notes here and there. I would like you all to keep your ears open, note down all your respective questions wherever you find any difficulty in understanding. I will be communicating in specifically in English and half-hearted Hindi. That's what I can do my best with. Okay, so let me just quickly take you through it. So today's topic will be organization, branding, and business development. So, okay, so when we first talk about an organization branding, what we first click into our head is what is an organization? Well, it is everything around us, where you're starting from your school to your college to your places where you're working. All these are organization. So basically a social unit wherein you have people around in a structured and were managed in a particular format where all the individual are pursuing a collective goal. That is what an organization is. So basically all organizations have a management structure. So there has to be a structure wherein all the people of that particular structure are thriving towards a specific and a collective goal. So that structure particularly determines the relationship between the different activities and the members in it. And also it particularly subdivides and assigns roles and responsibilities different tasks. Otherwise, it would actually fall flat, wherein 1,000 people can come under one roof and in one particular location are doing everything, and everything under the sun haphazardly. So you can stretch to format, and that's how what an organization is called. It is also called an open system. Like, why an open system? Because it is affected by their environment. So if an organization has proper structure and the proper build up wherein the environment inside that organization is positive and goal driving, then that organization will deliver much better results than any other organization. So definitely environment actually affects an organization. So our organization is the process of identifying and grouping work to be performed, defining and delegating responsibility and authority, and establishing relationship for the purpose of enabling people to work most effectively together in accomplishing objectives. So like, for example, our institute, which is an IIEBM, or the place you're going to go after 2 years to for the first time you're going to go and work, all that places are your organization, and you'll find a structural unit in it where you will find a lot of people having a cooperative relationship and having specified roles and responsibilities towards attaining the same or a collectively successful goal of giving the organization a better look and a better virtue. Next is, what are the characteristics of an organization? I mean, of course, now that you know what an organization is, I mean, of course, you guys already knew it, but now you would also know what the characteristics are. So a division of work or division of labor, however you say. Not every person in an organization can do all the kind of work. Like if I am doing sales job in an organization, I cannot go and do accounts job. There are specified people who have been assigned to do that job for that collective goal time, right? So that is what, there is strictly division of work. Not every individual is doing every work. So the A is division of labor. B is coordination. When there is division of labor, there has to be a kind of coordination between all the departments, all the groups, and all the individuals per se. So if I'm doing a sales job, then a sales coordinator needs to have that kind of coordination with my department to deliver the next operative demand of the organization. So that is coordination, right? Common objectives, like, of course, I can enter an organization thinking that I will deliver this for my career goal, for whatever, blah, blah, that I want to. But at the end of the day, every particular department and individual is towards a common objective. That is for the organization growth, for the better viewpoint of the organization, and to keep the organization running. So whatever organization you're in, like for example, IIBM has an objective of delivering knowledge, right? So that particular objective has to be followed and has to be implied on to all the individual working under IIBM. And that does not only confines to the faculty or the deans, but also the students when you enter the college. So that is what a common objective is for an organization. Of course, structure, hierarchy, team, and departments. An organization has to have a proper structure. When I say structure, it means it has to have hierarchy, it has to have a team, it has to have different departments. That's how comparted an organization should be, and that is how it will work smoothly towards a common goal. So hierarchy, when I say hierarchy, of course, which means there is a boss and a boss and a boss, and of course at the end there are some subdivisional people who are doing the underlining work. But at the end of the day, everybody's objectives are common, that is organization growth. Next is cooperative relationship. When I say cooperative relationship, I'm very clear here that though we have structure, hierarchy, team, departments, and they are all scattered in division, but we will have a very cooperative relationship. So for example, if there is some kind of hostility among departments, then the work will of course get stuck. So thereby there has to be relationship which is probably intercolleague or interdepartmental or team, that has to have a cooperative relationship to end up having a good productivity of the organization. Lastly is a well-defined authority responsible relationship. So of course you will see there is sales executive who's reporting to the manager, and that particular manager is reporting to a senior manager, and thereby of course the hierarchy flows. Why is that so? Like if there is no monitoring of 1,000 people under one roof, then everybody will end up doing everything, right? So there has to have a particular authority and eventually given a specific role. Like not everybody can go on and do everything. Not everybody can sign documents, right? So it has to have a well-defined authority, responsible relationship. So these are the basic characteristics of an organization. Quickly coming to our main topic, that is organizational branding. Now to understand the topic organizational branding, of course you need to know what an organization is, which I covered. So coming to organizational branding, when I say branding, of course it sticks to your mind that oh, it's a brand and we are doing advertisements and we have a colorful logo that represents a brand, and of course these are common ideas that everybody of us will have. But it is slightly different, right? Now, the concept of branding in organization is same. Like, what is branding? It is a marketing practice of creating a name, a symbol, or a design that identifies and differentiates a product from other products. Like, okay, for example, I have a phone here, right? Now, this particular phone has particular design, right? And if you see the particular design here with 3 cameras and a logo out here, you can, even if you don't know it, you can know it that this is an Apple phone, right? So, and also a particular design will tell you, okay, this is this particular product of the Apple Incorporation, right? So that is how branding happens, right? But this is what you call a product branding, right? What is organizational branding? The same concept of branding, when applied to an organization as a whole or a corporate as a whole, that is what is called organizational branding. The practice of promoting the brand name of a corporate entity as opposed to specific products or services. That means we are not only branding a particular product of the company. So not only that we are saying, oh, this is an iPhone or that is a MacBook, but we are saying Apple, right? So the Apple as an entire organization needs to be branded properly in order to promote the brand name of the corporate entity and not only the product. So the activities and thinkings that go into the corporate branding are slightly different from the product and service branding, because the scope of a corporate brand is typically much broader. So of course, I mean, when you have to brand a particular product, the confinement is very small. I mean, you just have to think about the product, how you're going to launch it, how the look and feel would be, what would be the logos enabled in it. So that is what a brand product is. But when you think of branding an entire corporate, an entire organization, a lot more needs to be imparted in that. Better practices, broader sense, a lot of technology, a lot of behavioral changes, and a lot of inter-organizational branding are required. And it's a much broader scope than what a particular product branding would take. So although corporate branding is a distinct activity from product or service branding, these different forms of branding can and often do take place side by side within a given or corporation. So of course, I mean, when I have a organization, I'm working under an organization, or probably I am owning one, I will make sure that not only that my products are branded, but my organization is also branded. So that can happen side by side. I can concentrate on creating my organization into a better brand, and at the same time there will be teams and there will be my consciousness which will go into developing my brand. I mean, the products that I'm delivering or the services that I'm delivering. So of course, I'm hoping that organizational branding concept is basically clear. Now, what are the characteristics of this organizational branding? It's a lot, right? So when you understand organizational branding, it means when you're branding your company, when you're branding your organization. So what are the characteristics that are involved in it? One is memorability, which means, of course, when you have a proper branding, which means you remember that particular brand. Now, if I take the name of a Nike or a Puma, you will know, oh yeah, we know the brand. But do we know the company? Who is actually the entire organization doing? Probably you know a company name who does photocopy is Xerox, right? That is how a branding happens. Now, when you go and ask for a photocopy, you'd never say that, give me a photocopy. You say, give me a Xerox. So, well, that is a positive branding and negative branding at the same time. But that is how memorability is. Whatever branding you're doing, your brand needs to be in the mind of the people when they strike something. Like if I want to buy something online, like if I want to buy clothes, the first thing that will struck my mind will be a Myntra or a Flipkart. That means the company has given their best effort to develop their organizational brand in order to give me that memorability that, okay, if I go online, I want to buy and purchase something, I will go and talk about Myntra or Flipkart and vice versa. Next is transferability. What is transferability? Now, it's very important that when you're branding a particular organization, you do not confine it to one specific idea. Now, when I have to explain transferability, I'll have to give an example to you. Like Amazon, right? What if Amazon, I mean, what is the meaning of Amazon, right? They probably would have a thought process behind branding their company as Amazon, right? I know it has an arrow which goes, it says A to Z product, right? So that is the branding concept of Amazon, right? Now, if Amazon would have been named as shopshoesonline.com, right? That confines the idea. That means if tomorrow shopshoesonline.com would probably start selling a chicken biryani, you'll be like, oh my God, what is happening? That cannot happen. So by naming your company as shopshoesonline.com, you're confining and you're creating that idea that next time you cannot sell anything except shoes in that company, right? So where that is probably a branding loophole. But if you see Amazon, if tomorrow Amazon wants to go on a retail forum, they can. I mean, nobody can question that because the name Amazon does not suggest that they cannot go to any length and breadth. If you open an Amazon site, you will see there are multiple products, there are different sectors and different departments where you can go and you can purchase what and how. I mean, I guess they're into every segment. That's the reason they say A to Z products. And that's a superb example of a great branding of an organization. Transferability means if you are today A, you can become tomorrow B because you don't know what the world will change up into. So that's how transferability of an organization is, because it's not a product, okay? It's a company. You have to have various vision for the company. You have to have, like today I am selling a phone. Tomorrow my idea can come that, okay, I want to go into restaurant. So if my brand does not have that kind of transferability, I cannot transform my brand, right? Next is people and culture, very important. Like when it comes to a brand, when it comes to a product brand, I will always keep on taking this differentiation because that's where the loophole always happen, because we tend to mix up organizational branding with product branding. So what is people and culture important as a characteristics of organizational branding is? Now, when you talk about a product, I can take a phone in my hand, and that is not how I'm going to deliver the branding of it. That phone particularly has its own branding, their performance, their battery life, and so on and so forth, nature of the phone, will finally give their performance and then say, okay, that's a good brand. I mean, this particular phone or that particular product will be a good brand, or any cosmetics product women using these days. They can say, okay, this is suiting my face and this is okay, well, cruelty free. That is how a product branding happens. But organizational branding mainly happens to its people and its culture, because or in an organizational entity, the small commodities are its people, right, who are representing the companies, who is going out and meeting people, who's talking, who's representing themselves as the company in a whole. So if I am the BDM, I mean a salesperson in a company, and I go and meet like 100 clients in a month, that means I'm representing my company. And if I am not properly branded myself, I don't know the company name, I don't know the details of my work, and I'm shabbily dressed and I don't have a good communication skill, that falls flat. So my organization will be questioned that, oh, so and so came from this company, then last the proper impact on us. So that's people and culture. And of course, culture. I mean, if you have a culture in an organization which is not very clearly defined, which is not very ethical, then of course people will deliver the non-ethical approach towards clients, and your brand will fall flat. So that's negative branding. So people and culture is also a very, I mean, the utmost important characteristics of organizational branding. Next is recruitment and orientation. Of course, if I'm saying the main commodity of an organization is its people, the employees that are working with us. So in that case, if the recruitment process, the orientation process is like not cool, in that case, nobody would like to work in that company. Nobody will, so there will be less commodity. So the lesser the raw materials, the flatter the brand goes. So your recruitment process should be clear, should be more employee friendly, should be a win-win for both the sides, and for both the company as well as the employees who's giving their heart and soul to make the company work. So that's recruitment and orientation. Next is pay and benefits. Of course, I mean, nobody works for free. Work doesn't happen for free these days. So if I'm working for a company, I will work in a way, the first thing that will strike my mind is, oh, how much are you paying me for the work? How much benefits that I'm getting? So not only nowadays, pay is important, but the benefits that come along with it, I mean, a lot of companies give a lot of other benefits. That is very important for us. So pay and benefit defines how the company is looking forward to it. If you're making a person work like 24/7 and you're not paying the particular employee that much, the employee would not like to work and probably would not give its 100%, because you're not giving your 100% to your raw material. So that's pay and benefit. Next is work-life balance. Well, this is nowadays very important, because somebody who does not have a work-life balance will have a very stressful mind and will always complain about the company, and will go to the friend or to other people and say, oh, my company, they doesn't give me good pay, does not give me time, I don't have time, I'm always stressed out. Or probably the wife of that particular employee or the husband of the particular employee would say, oh, my wife, my husband, vice versa, is so stressed out all day because the company makes the person work so much. That's negative branding for the company. So next time, through word of mouth, the transferability of the branding of the organization is becoming negative. So that's not how you can impact the branding of it. Next is CSR. Okay, now, of course, who doesn't know, there has been a mandate, of course, of 2%, if I'm not wrong, of corporate social responsibility. So every company is taking something from the environment, has to give back something to the environment. So this corporate social responsibility will keep the company in news, A, and B, would make the company flourish because they're doing something good for the people who are not benefited that way. So your CSR company will, of course, the CSR part of your company will, of course, help in running the company. Next is leadership and management. The better the person who leads the company, the followers would always be better. I mean, would be good. If there is no good leadership in the company will not develop, will not give that kind of impartment of productivity to the company as a whole. And of course, no productivity means no work. So the organization growth will again become a small tangent. Location. Well, of course, where your company is located, what is your work, where is your company, how is your company's office, everything falls under location and work environment. I'm going to cover this together. So, work environment, when you enter your office, if you see your office environment is not very appealing to you, you're not happy, it's not very positive, and is not giving you anything, in that case, you will not like to work for that company. So, that is work environment. Economic condition. um, See, now if you go to a good office, when I say good office, you will see, because I've worked in so different sectors, so I've seen that when my probably my first work experience was when I entered the office. There was no coffee, and there was no water. I had to carry my own food, my own water, and when client used to come, I had to go and tell the people, can you bring some coffee from outside? That is not a good economic condition of the company, because those are basic. Those, if a client comes to meet you up and you give some water, you give some coffee and beverages, and however you develop that kind of a throw to the client, and the client will like, oh, I'm in a good office. That again increases your organization branding. So if an economic condition of the company is not at par, it will obviously not be able to give that branding to its own organization, and again it will fall flat. Quality of brands. Well, at the end of the day, what matters is, no matter how good looking your office is, no matter how your people and culture is, if the thing that you're delivering and people who are purchasing it, like your services or your brands or your products, they are not nicely branded and not at par with the quality, nobody will buy you. And if nobody buys you, there won't be any business, and of course the organization will not grow. So the quality of brand is again the characteristics of organizational branding, and all this thing has to have a cooperative relationship in order to brand an organization. Next, of course, advantages and disadvantages of an organization. If an organization is branded correctly, you will get increased workforce. Like if I say that, oh, this company that I'm working in, like Applus Velosi, I say, oh, they are very good. What a work environment. It's so positive. I feel like going to work. I feel like giving my best and developing more, giving more than 100% to my company. And I consider my company as my own company. Then I will deliver this kind of knowledge to other people, and other people would like to want to work for that company. Like ITC, like Paytm, they have a great organizational branding, because if you talk to the people who are working under it, they will give you always some positive feedback about their environment. So that will increase their workforce. Productivity. If you're happy, you will deliver. So if your employees and your organization is properly branded and they're happy, you will deliver better productivity. And better productivity means better money, and better money means economic conditions happening up to the brim. ROI, which is return on investment. You will get better return on investment. If you're investing more on your organization branding, you're increasing on the productivity, and the productivity increases revenue. At the end of the day, return on investment. So your ROI strikes up. High retention rate. When I said high retention rate, not only means that your company is here to last, but also you will have less attrition rate, which means you will see a lot of company every other month there are 4 or 5 people leaving the company, and then the client will be like, oh, yesterday was somebody else presenting your brand, now there's something else. So that's a very confusing nature. So everybody will say this company is not a good company, because there are constant people who are who are going out or leaving the company. So the attrition rate is going higher, which is not contributing to the reputation of the company. And again, external reputation will always increase. So the advantages is, if you're a good branded company, you'll have increased workforce, less attrition, greater productivity, external reputation will be higher, and of course, ROI. What are the disadvantages? Of course, expensive effort. You have to build an environment, you have to build an organization. I mean, a product branding only takes so much of money. And also at the same time, you have to take care of your brands and services. Your effort for branding your organization as a whole is, of course, an expensive effort. So you have to have a very broader sense in order to have an organizational branding. Now, if not represented properly, leads to misrepresentation, which means if your company's commodities or raw materials, which are its employees, does not know what the company is all about, is not very clear with them, the vision and mission of the company, then you are representing wrong. So no matter how much money you're investing in bringing people with higher salary, higher packages, but that person is not particularly a great raw material for the company, will lead to representing a wrong message to the outside people where he or she is representing, and it will lead to a lot of misrepresentation. So not only money loss, but also a misrepresentation of your brand. Time and effort, of course, if you want to do something aside and want to give a delight to your company, it will take a lot of time and effort, of course. So these are the disadvantages, but if you can see, my advantages are higher than the disadvantages. So of course, this is a necessity to brand your organization. Okay, next is to summarize, I will give you the example of good organization branding. And then I will move to business development because it's, of course, another topic. If you can see the slide herein, you can see, and you will always agree with me, that these are the brands which has all the characteristics which I've mentioned. It has good memorability. So if I take the name eBay, or if I take Amazon, or if I take Sony or a PepsiCo, you will say, yeah, I remember this particular thing. So yeah, they have good memorability, they have good transferability, which means none of the brands suggest that it has to be like a Coca-Cola. Does not mean it has to be a cola drink, but yeah, of course, that's their branding. So not a Google has a lot of variety in it. I mean, it's not susceptible to one particular thing, right? It can always move on to any other sector they want to. So good transferability. The people who are working in it must have delivered amazing results and productivity for which these brands are here today. So these are examples of good organization branding. There are no examples of bad branding, because they have badly branded their organization, we don't remember them and they are not in the list. So that is what organization branding is. And I will go to business development, but because there are two different concepts you have to understand in distinct parts. So that's what organization branding is. इसका मतलब है आपको corporate को पहले brand करना पड़ेगा at the same time of branding your own services and your products, because not only your products and services speaks, but your organization speaks as a whole. Okay, so to the next part of our topic, that is business development. Okay, now nowadays you will find jobs that will come to you saying that do you want to become a business development executive, and you will end up knowing that, oh, I'm doing sales, so why not sales executive? So I'm gonna explain this particular topic to you in constant comparison with the topic of sales. Okay, so I have been business development manager, so this was my forte, and hence I will be able to explain it to you with a lot of examples. Now, what is business development and what is sales? So I will give you the differentiation in a constant pattern, so you keep up with me. That's what I can say. Business development, it focuses on strategic business plan through people, brands, financing in an appropriate way. Okay, what I mean is, business development is not only selling a product, right? That which is what a sales is. You just don't go to a person and just deliver your product and say, okay, this product is this, or buy this, it will give you more benefit and all that. No, that is sales. That means you're selling a particular product. When you're a business development person, that means you're developing a particular existing business. It's much broader. So you have to have a business plan to throw that knowledge on the developing brand, to make it a better growth in the organization, to bring in more revenue, to bring in more productivity of the company. How will you do it? Through its people, of course. They are not very product sensitive. Okay, they will. I mean, when I'm a business development person, I will think in a broader aspect of how to develop the organization, or how to develop techniques and strategies in order to create ideas through which I can sell my products more. I can make my product reach out to maximum people. So that is happening through people, A, B, it through its brand, of course, and financing. money. How will you what would be the pricing of a product? How What would be the pricing of a services? How much will you take in advancement? How much will you, all that financing details. So these particular details cater into the concept of business development, not sales. Whereas sales only concentrates on brand. I mean, they have been given a particular money, amount, saying that this is the amount of this product and go and sell as many as you can. That is what sales is. Whereas business development is more of technical details, strategic planning of how you can improve your own business. Elements will be experience, performance, leadership skills, and operations. When I say these four things together, which means the more experienced you are, the better strategic knowledge you will get, the better ideation power you will get, the more educated, the more knowledgeable you are. I am not saying educated in knowledge in relation to your bookish knowledge. The more experience, the more openness that you have, the more market knowledge do you have, that will make you deliver much better results in experiences. That's what the element says. Performance, of course, your performance will determine what kind of a development you will bring into your business. So you have to have a greater performance skills. Leadership skills, you have to lead. It is not just you go to a person and say this other stuff, you want to buy it and you sell it, knock your doors. No, that's not how it happens. So you have leadership skills, and of course operational knowledge, because otherwise you won't be able to operate a huge to develop an entire business into a brand. That's going to divide the entire concept into two processes. Okay. In business development, there are two very important elements. One is you're getting a first meeting, and two is how you prepare for the first meeting. After meeting and when you meet, the entire process that you have comes under business development, but more of sales, right? So this too is where our business development come into function. Getting your first meeting, preparing for the first meeting. These are the two where your strategic knowledge will play a huge role. The process of getting your first meeting, right? These are the A, B, C, D that you can see in the slides are the process. Finding potential client. Okay. Now, to give you a brief cycle, like you have seen a food chain cycle. A cycle is that you first find out a potential client, right? Then you go and meet the client. Then further deliver your speech about your product and your services, and then you try to crack a deal. That's what it is. So in this particular process, the first thing which is very important is finding your potential client. It is very important. For that, you need to have prior knowledge about what your product is. So you need to know and you have to master about your business, about your company, about the ethical part of it, about what your company is delivering, your history, geography, everything should be in your fingertips in order to know, okay, or to like make out that, okay, this is particularly potential client. So any company for that matter, finding a major task. Now, when you're finding a potential client, you have to be like, you have to go down the bridge to do all the kind of dirty work that, as we say, like you have to do cold calls. You have to be at that point of time, you cannot scam BPO, because BPO, you will have to net, you have to Google out, you have to network with people, you have to attend a lot of networking sites like LinkedIn, socially connected, you have to be socially, physically, everywhere you have to be networking in order to point out and figure out and pick out those potential clients. And you have to also, in this case, forget about all your shame that you have, because a lot of people keep a call and hello, do you want to be here? And they you always do to all the people who are selling you loans, right? So that's finding potential client for you. Next is if you find out, okay, this X person is my client, you can lose it and you can gain. I mean, you can lose him and you can gain him, and everything depends upon how your speech and how your approach towards that client would be. So you need to have great communication in order to make that damn good impact on that client so that he listens to you, because nowadays you find people talking but nobody listening, so you have to master your speech. When I say master your speech, you will have all the basic knowledge. Now, I'll just swiftly go through the side, because I've explained you the finding potential client. I was just explaining mastering your speech. So when I say about that, not only you have to have good communication, language that you're going to speak, your regional language, as well as you have to know it. It doesn't matter if you are not at par with the communicators. I mean, part of it. I mean, when maybe I used to feel this, and I have to cater to that knowledge that I have to impact my presence, my speech. Your speech cannot be only, you have to have that knowledge about not only the client, but also about yourself, about what you're delivering, how you can make a lasting impact, and how can you add value to the client. That's mastering your speech. I mean, you have to make yourself listen. Next is engaging your client. That's where the third comes. Like I can get myself a meeting. I enter, I'm talking, but my client is not feeling engaged. That will only be possible if you search either the wrong potential client. I mean, the person doesn't need you, doesn't need your service nor your brand. In that case, you have to have that engaging quality to make that client last, to make that client listen to you. So you have to make so lasting impression that the client is interested in knowing you and knowing your product. I mean, not knowing you, but yeah, your company and your product. Make it a two-way conversation. Can't happen on a webinar, but yeah, you have to go and meet people. Make sure that you're not only talking, but you're listening. You have to have both your senses pretty much open, so that when you talk, a good communication, a good conversation is not only one person talking, but it's a two-person talking together, understanding each other and creating some value in that conversation. So that's the first, which is finding your first meeting. When you talk, that's how you show you know that your knowledge is clear, and also the person is interested in listening to you. That's when he says, yeah, okay, Rimeli, you can come and meet me. So you're going to crack your first meeting. When you crack your meeting, the next stage is preparing for the meeting. So now you got a date, okay? Now this is the date when you have to go and you meet your potential client. You have to give that importance to the client. So you have to prepare for the meeting. How would you do that? Understanding your client. Do your potential research, which means if you do not know what your client is, what is their work, where are their loopholes, every goddamn details about the client should be here. I mean, you should know it. That's when the client feels, okay, this person knows us. He understands us. So knowing is not enough. You have to understand your client. Next, look beyond money. Like if you're good in communication, you had a great conversation over the phone, and then you finally say, okay, let's sit across the table and discuss the proposition. Now, when you give a proposition to your client, you just want benefit for yourself and your company. That is not a value proposition. You have to, of course, at the end of the day, you will have to think about the organization, its growth, monetary benefits, everything. But also, you have to understand that you're creating a bond with the client. In that case, you have to state a value addition to the client. The client should be thinking, okay, meeting this person, understanding the services and the brands means the person is giving me some great results, will add some value to my company. That's when you have to be clear. So not only you have to state the value proposition, look beyond money means don't always talk, listen, you have this, I have this product, take it, give me money. No, that's not where your client will be interested in you. So you have to state the value addition. You have to state what your core competencies are. What are the people who you meet? What are your business networks and channels? What are the employee timings? How are your employees in an organization skilled, that the person sitting in front of you who is a potential client should find it, okay, this organization has skilled people, so I can trust them. What are your marketing and communication, as in how vast are you spread it? How much are you going to reach out to people? How much is your magnetic field? That kind of knowledge you have to give. You have to talk beyond money. You just cannot keep talking about, sir, this is my product, this is my services, please buy it. No, you have to talk about how you're going to add value. What is your company built up? What are your conventional power? What are your purchasing power? What is your supply chain power? Everything should be as transparent in front of the client, because the client should not think that, oh, he doesn't know anything. You have to tell everything, from where you purchase, from how your supply chain works, what are your financial gap, what are the benefit that you get out of this relationship with the client. So you have to make sure that you're not only saying that the client will only benefit from you, but also you will also benefit, but in a very win-win and a positive way. So you have to think beyond money when in your communication or in your first meeting with the client. To elaborate on establishing your value proposition. So when I spoke about your last slide, you will see you have to understand your client, you have to look beyond money, and you have to state a value proposition. What is your value proposition? You have to think before going into the meeting and hitting the client. First, you have to think is, what is my value proposition? So for example, when I used to work for Franco, I used to bring clients on board for them to create a franchising model and multiply their units in order to gain more business and more franchisees. So I have to think what this Francorp has, or Franchise India, as people know that company, what they have, what is their value proposition that I can give in front of the client that they will be interested. So I have to have a prior homework done on it. So the collection of information, services, solutions, and support that your venture can give a client, which will help their specific needs, goals, and priorities. That means I will have to first understand what is the specific need of my client, what are the goals of my client, and what are its priorities. Based on that, I will create my value proposition that, yes, if this is the need of your company, this is the goal of your company, and these are your priorities, clubbing it all together, my company can give you better workforce, better employment. You will get more people to work for you. I'm going to help you. There are expertise to help you broaden your knowledge on this forefront. My marketing team is so good that they can reach out your brand to 100 people more. And that's how, and not an unrealistic value proposition, for God's sake. So you have to have a proper value proposition that the client will think, okay, yeah, I'm interested. How do you establish, tailor, and validate that proposition? Now, of course, you will be thinking, how can I just say that this will be a value proposition? You'll have to be very, very smart for that. How? You'll have to ask probing question. I mean, you cannot make that prior homework. I mean, you can prepare for the meeting. How? By knowing about the client, the basic details and everything. But you have to have that instinctive knowledge here, and that observant skill, that when you're sitting across a client, or you have to understand the body language and the words. You have to catch hold of every gap in the sentences. That means you have to have very much, attention to finer details, that you will finally understand that, yeah, my client this is my proposition should be. Here is the gap. Here is the need of my client. That's where you can click it. How will you do that? You have to ask a very probing question. What didn't work well in the past? What outcomes are they looking for? Or what information do they need to make business? These are the three basic things that you need to know. You don't want to repeat the mistake. If the client has done something that the client is guilty of and regrets, oh, you know what, I worked with this company and didn't work really well. Now you're the same company, I don't want to give you business. No, you have to understand that, and you have to create that value proposition that, yeah, we understand that you worked there. This didn't go well with you. This won't be repeated with us. That's what your value proposition should be. You have to understand what outcomes are they looking for. Like, are they looking for growth right now? Are they looking for presence in the market? Or are they looking for expansion? Those are the kind of goals that you need to understand. What are they looking for? And also, the main thing is, Not only do by asking these questions, you will also understand that what they want to hear from you, and based on what they want to hear, you have to throw your speech so that they're interested and the meeting goes well. Listen for clues. What are the needs? Pain points. How can you minimize the risk? So when somebody talks about the brand, they will tell you, you know what, you're here and you want to help me grow my business. Like when I used to work for OYO, I used to go to people and say, can you give me this building of yours and I want to turn out into a townhouse. So they used to say, no, I cannot do that. Earlier this particular brand came to us and they took my building and they did not do any work and everything. That is the pain point I understood. What are the need? I understood that the building is still standing there flat and he needs to create something out of that building. So he has nothing to do with the building. So I can help him. Pain point is he had a bad experience. How can you minimize the risk? By giving him that assurance through your legal teams, through your propositions, and through your proposal that yes, sir, with this are the works that we're going to do and post which only you can trust us. So that's how you're going to listen for clues and what is he talking, because not every client will tell you everything in the first meeting. Nobody will trust you. So you have to search for clues in his communication here and there. Use empathy. Works really well. Not sympathy, but empathy. Empathy means when you have that emotional intelligence and you know what that person wants emotionally. So you have to have that empathy towards your client. And last but not the least, you have to connect the dot. What do they need? How can you serve? That's what. Two dots. What do they need? How can I serve? When these two links, that's where a value proposition is created. So yeah, they need A and you cannot give B. You have to give them the particular A, or rather an A plus, so that it creates a better value. So that is how you're going to establish, tailor, and validate your proposition. So if I remember, what I was talking was business development catering into two parts. One is how you're going to crack a first meeting, and two is how you're going to prepare the meeting. After the meeting happens to be a sales process, right? But that also comes under business development, because your team and you both will be doing the same work. At the end of the day, you have to sell a product to bring in money to your company. Come on. So what is the basic process? Orientation. What is an orientation? You first have to orient yourself. You have to know what your company is all about. You have to have great and utmost, like every freaking bit of details about your product, about the services, about your company, and also about the client that you're going to meet. So you have to have every orientation very clear. You have to have a very clear notion about who you're meeting, what you're going to speak, and everything, right? Relationship management. When you go and meet up a client, you will have to have that kind of mastering in yourself to create that kind of knowledge, right? So that's relationship management. Next come negotiations. When you say negotiation, you need to have that the client that you're talking with, you will, at the end of the day, when there is relationship bonding, everything, and you give a proposal to the person will negotiate. Like every person we negotiate. So you have to have the negotiation skills, so that you do not harm your company by giving a wrong quotation, and you do not also impact the client by saying no. Closure is when you deal close it. That's when a closure happens. Payment follow-up, of course, if you do not do a payment follow-up, there won't be money. And finally, you have to collect a check to bring home, to bring your company, the final, the result that you want, the money. Social media, which means you have to have social media skills, wherein the client, before giving the money also, he will have a good knowledge about how you are, what your company is, what is the impression. Recovery of dead accounts, which means this is also one of the process. There are dead accounts which is not giving anything, and you have to recover those kind of dead accounts. So these are the basic process of business development. I'll quickly go through the BD and sales part of it. What is the difference between BD and sales? BD is long term, of course, that consists of strategic, technical details, how you're going to plan. You work very closely with other teams and you develop a plan in order to increase the sales of the companies, right? So sales is a part of BD. Whereas sales is a short-term process. BD focuses on consideration, awareness, interact with their R&D, marketing, and sales team to reassure development and commercialization of the product. So you need commercialization, sales, and those kind of thing happens through strategic planning, and all that planning goes into business development. Whereas sales, it focuses on guiding the prospective customer on the decision stage. Before the decision stage, all the other stages covered by BD. Well, decision stage is where sales come into picture. So to come to the decision stage, you have to come to what the product will be, how it will be marketed, what your research and development team will do, how your sales team will work. All this together comes into one picture, and that is how BD had worked. Now, when you come to the decision stage, what stage it is? It is when your product reaches to the customer and face to face, they finally decide whether your products and services is worth takeable or not. So sales focuses on guiding the prospect on the decision stage and hopefully get them to select your company solution. So that's where sales work. BD talks technology. Of course, we talk on technology, how we can impact, develop a plan to increase my business, whereas sales talks product. BD does not only talk product, it talks about a wider scope. Hope I have made it very clear. This is a very important slide for all the aspirants when if you guys are interested in marketing and business development. Eventually, this is what your Naukri or your other job portals would look like. What is the job description of a BDM? So you will find something like this that would state who knows how to do a growth strategy. So I guess you should go through it on a faster note, that you know how to conduct research, you know how to what is growth strategy, where you have to where you have to deal, and you have to together work with the financial team to create a financial gain and customer satisfaction together. So that's where BD come into picture. You have to arrange business meetings, you have to promote the company's product, you have to prepare sales contracts with the closely working with the legal team and with the client, because you will be the forefront. Then comes prepare sales contracts, then come keeping the record of the sales, of the revenue, invoices, etc. You'll have to have market knowledge. You have to have a proven sales track record. That means you know what to sell. If you do not know how to sell, you will not become a BDM. Proficiency in basic computer, that is your CRM softwares, your MS Office, those are the stuff. The very important part which I want to just touch up a point was proficiency in English, communication and negotiation skills. Now, when I say proficiency in English, when I last met all the other inductions, when I've reached out and I've seen students asking me that, ma'am, my English is not good, what I can do better. This is your time. This 2-year period is your time where you can build up all the knowledge about a language if you are not very proficient with it. So you have to read books, read newspapers, and I'm sure the college will also organize those kind of communication classes. And you have to give importance to the fact that yes, and first is, you cannot deny, you cannot say, oh, I speak damn good English. You need to know that no, you're not good, and you have to go better. So for that, to get better, you have to take classes, you have to see a lot of interviews in English, watch a lot of movies, good movies, so that you can understand and you can grab it. So that's how you're going to prepare. Read. That's how I can say. Communication and negotiation skills your negotiation stage will completely depend upon your communication. Ability to build rapport, everything you can see needs your communication, time management and planning skills, and of course your degree, which is probably required. Now, the time management and planning skills will also be taught to you in your 2-year period in your PGDM. At least that's how I got to. I was terrible in my time management, but thanks to my college, IIEBM, who actually taught me how to manage my classes, my studies, my extracurricular activities, and prepare myself at the end of the day for what I'm doing. The degree was to get a job. So I have to do lot more than just attending my classes. So that is where your time management and your administration skills will come into picture. When I say BD is a part of organization branding, to connect the two dots where I started the topic, if your BD is good, which means you know your strategy of incrementing market research, of R&D team, where you are having a proper orientation of the company, and you're finally reaching to a goal where you're developing a product and a brand of quality, and also creating the entire team who will represent your company with your products and services to be a damn good team, will together bring and create a rise in your organization branding. So henceforth, BD is a part of organization branding. Whew, I am done with my presentation. So thanks a lot. And of course, these are my connectivity dots. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn, on my email ID, which you can note it down. Facebook, which I already am connected to a lot of people. So you can ask me and throw a lot of questions to whatever you want. So I guess I have completed the 40 minutes of topic. And hereby, I would like to hit all the questions. And over to you, ma'am.
Well, it was a wonderful session. I can see a lot of compliments as well already in the chat box.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so actually we are not left with too much of time to ask questions because our next session is lined up just in 10 minutes. Yeah,
Sure. Okay.
still I'll ask you just one or two questions, which is very much relevant to this particular audience, which, is very high in terms of frequency. The question they want to understand is how do you decide that during placements, how you should choose a company, that which company you should go for? Should there be a checklist that, okay, I should go for this kind of companies or I should not go? So how to decide on that? And how did you decide on that during your fresher time?
Well, for me, it was very clear that what is my value. I will not devalue myself. I will not overvalue myself. I know what I am. I mean, how much I can deliver. What is my, we all, when we get out of an MBA college, we know our worth. We all come with a price tag. So when I was out of my degree, I knew, okay, these are my knowledge skills, these are my skill sets, and this much is what I can give to the company. And based on that, I know what my salary would be like. I was very clear about my location because I was very open to all the location because that is my start of the career. I cannot be very confined to,
Right,
oh,
absolutely.
in the comfort zone. So
Yeah.
like that way, I decided, okay, that no, I cannot be very choosy about the company, but I was very clear about the job description to go very thorough about the job description because at the end of the day, when you enter an office and you cannot deliver, then that does not make any sense. So you need to know what you're delivering and what you're capable of to decide what field you want to go, which company you want to crack.
Right. Another question is you mentioned about representing oneself, about professional dressing and self branding as well. So, how important the professional dressing, specifically if I talk about self branding for a fresher again? Yeah.
Very important. I mean, I remember when we entered college. I mean, it was my first time when I entered IIBM. I saw all my co-friends. What, like, they had a very small haircut, and we were also given us a particular dress code. We were made to wear saris on Tuesdays, and we
Right.
used to initially crib about it. But I
Right.
must say this, and I hope everybody listens, because when I entered my job life, suddenly we got there were days where we were made to wear saris, and when I draped it, I used to get compliment that, yeah, you're looking very professional. Our dressing sense, not only with that, what we carry in our bag, we were made to carry a Dio dictionary and hanky, and we were charged fine
Right.
in the college when we did not bring it. We used to crib about it when we were in the college, but later on, it was such a that made such a huge difference and distinction that, yeah, she comes from a greater background than any other people. So self grooming, I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm very shabbily dressed and I'm coming to talk to you will also not pay attention to me. I mean, if I have to I mean, the first thing that we do, the first impression is your the facade that you have created. So if your
Right.
facade is not good, I mean, you will not enter a restaurant. Even if the restaurant doesn't make appealing impact on you, you will not eat the food. So that's how it is. You have to look good, you have to look presentable. I mean, at least for that 8-9 hours that you're working, you have to forget all your pajamas and t-shirts and wear all your shirts. And even if it's an uncomfortable clothing, you have to wear it and make it comfortable, because at the end of the day, you want yourself to be taken seriously, because that's the job.
That's right. Well, on that note, thank you so much for spending time and addressing the batch. I'm really grateful to
Thank
you
you.
and wish you all the best. I'm really proud to see you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And I'm really happy that the college has created such a forum where we are not giving up, because this is the time we are actually fighting
That's
back, and
right.
we are not giving up because Corona is bringing us all down, but we are not giving up. So I would always request all the students who are there, who are listening to me, I mean, do not back out on this degree, because you won't back out, because after a time, of course, this corona or any other hazard will go back, but you do not waste your 2 years. Please do your degrees and pay attention however you can, because this is our new normal. That's how we have to work. That's how we have to learn. So please get yourself the degree done, and create something good in the coming 2 years.
That's right. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.